right, welcome viewers and listeners. It's not the conversation, and I have to remind myself on that. It's to the point, and of course on Mondays it's a very big day for us here, coming from the weekend. Most times we like to do the post-mortem of things that happened over the weekend and get a new perspective on things. And to do that with me in studio this morning, as is always on Mondays, is my dear friends. To my immediate right, the Honorable, I like to call him that because that's who he is. He's indeed an honorable gentleman, Mr. Sylvan McIntyre. Yeah, I get him mixed up with Richard and Sylvan. My good friend, Mr. Richard McPhail. I got it right.
Yes.
You're full of Mac this morning.
Yeah, good. How are you, gentlemen?
I'm pretty good, thanks.
Yeah.
Good morning to you and your listeners, followers.
And viewers as well,
Viewers,
yeah. Mr. McIntyre, how are you doing?
I am very good. I am graciously blessed and happy to be in the GBN forum.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be connecting to our listeners, our followers, our contributors to this program. It's always a pleasure to be here and morning. I actually look forward to it.
Yeah. It must be noted that the role that you play, and now with your I know it's a team now, right? With Melissa, the last time it necessitated Mr. McPhail holding in for you, and it has become an integral part of it on the live set now. So it's always a good thing, and your information that you disseminate is always very timely and and pertinent. So we really appreciate that program on Monday mornings. We wouldn't change it for anything.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Right.
I told Janelle the last time, I said, listen, I'm getting fed up with McIntyre and this thing every Monday morning. Let's take it out. She said, never happens.
You would not have said that to her. You know you can't tell lies very well. Innocent. Lie doesn't really start you very well. Try that.
Okay, but as always, we always like to do a postmortem of what transpired last week and then project into the new week. So, last week, I in between, I got a hint as to what you and GT you all were discussing. So let's just revisit.
Yeah. So as people should recognize, over the last almost 3 years, we have this program running, and there's a twin program actually. We look at disaster risk reduction, disaster preparedness, as you may call it, emergency response. And the other angle, the premier angle of it, is road safety issues.
Okay.
And we know that whole road safety issue was born out of a tragedy that hit home. And this year we'll be recognizing 3 years of that initiative on March 6th. And to the end of the program, the latter part, we're going to focus on some initiative we want to do on the 6th of March.
Okay.
And that's an aspect of it. And I think people have been expressing their appreciation for the program. They look forward to, in particular, the road safety issue that we speak about. And we are going to be inviting, as we usually do, people to make their contributions at all levels in terms of road safety enhancement. Okay. And we can attest to the fact, one of the things I always say on our programs is that we always try to monitor, evaluate, and give feedback on the things that we have been doing to see the impact it has making the lives that it's impacting really and truly across the tri-island state. And as you mentioned before, there's no need or there is no real reason to change the program as it stands now. And so we really appreciate and honor the contribution and the support of the GBN and the extended family of the GBN to make this program happen. And I think as we advocate and we strive towards greater road safety and greater awareness of risk reduction in our state, we can see Grenada building into a stronger nation.
Yeah.
Our economy can rebound quickly because we cannot prevent natural events from happening. But when they happen, our reaction to it is critical. And road safety and the issues and so on, there's a lot we can do about it and should be doing about it. And so the more you speak, the more you advocate for things, I think the greater changes you'll have and a greater impact.
Yeah.
So let me use this opportunity again throughout the diaspora. The people have been supporting us and calling us and giving us tips and so on. We want to say a hearty thank you. And even those from the Caribbean who's not just within the diaspora, but who do give us their support from across the islands. I've been having that. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Dominica, all my good friends in Bermuda, etc. And some friends I have in the UK and Canada that have been reaching out, and a couple in the US. There's one gentleman out of Canada, he calls consistently to commend us on the program. I do have some people, and I can say, coincidentally, females are great followers to our programs. On mornings, we have the male calling in at our programs, but when we speak and we listen across, they would call back and give their feedback. Because they're always sometimes in the backstream, even if they are drivers as well in road safety issues. They are sometimes, and I think it's to be statistically released, that among the safer drivers we'll have might be females.
Yeah.
I want the statistics to support that. I don't know.
I plead the fifth on that.
I don't know. People say that they do not get into accidents, but they create accidents. But you cannot deny what is written or debate too much what is written in black and white. So if the record shows, right? So if you score 100 runs in a match, and all in singles and so forth, is 100.
100 is
and the record goes on to show that you did score 100, not out otherwise. So the fact is, again, I'm speaking not all about, but it's kind of a setting the piece. At the end of this program, we would hope to recognize people who are really contributing towards road safety.
I want to ask you a question, all right? Still not getting into the intricacies of the program for the morning as yet, because this morning we want to talk about drought and this sort of thing, because
that's correct.
We anticipate that coming. The Met Office predicted it.
Yes.
You had, right after Hurricane Melissa,
yes,
you had a relatively long stint in Jamaica because of your training and so forth.
Yeah.
We out of the hurricane season now, but one is coming again.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some of the takeaways you got from Jamaica that you think should be looked at as we get prepared for our own season here?
You know, it's interesting that you asked this question, even before we give the flowers and the review. And I was hoping, as I have always said, we do have, and people may support me in that, and they've said it to me, we do have our experts within the region, we do have capacities within the region and otherwise. And sometimes we do not capitalize on the opportunities as they present themselves sufficiently. The windows of opportunity, they open for not too wide and too long, and the doors as well. And sometimes we find ourselves not being able to position ourselves effectively and timely to capitalize on those opportunities. And the question you asked me in terms of the take back, I was hoping that the avenues would have been created a bit more where, you know, those kind of experiences could have been shared to benefit Grenada. I remember in 2021 when I went to St. Vincent and the Grenadines before the eruption of the volcano. I was there to help them prepare their emergency evacuation plans and look at the systems. We created scenarios and so forth. And I was there when the volcano erupted, and I was there through the response, and I was there immediately after the relief recovery process. And so now all of that has positive impact for Grenada, because we do have 3 active volcanoes here in Grenada that we need to also sharpen our instruments to ensure that if that happened, God forbid, that we are ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. And similarly, despite we are very good now, I think, and good is relative, to tropical cyclone response, I think there's a lot we can still learn from Jamaica's experience. And the opportunities, I don't think, was created for sharing the take back from Jamaica. So, and what I've seen, it's one of the worst I've actually seen in the Caribbean. I've been to Haiti for the earthquake in 2010, which was one of the worst we've seen technically in terms of numbers of deaths, etc., and the kind of a devastation we saw environmentally and otherwise. But in terms of tropical cyclone, it's the worst we have seen, the strongest on record that made landfall in the Caribbean, and that was what you can consider an extra Category 5 hurricane because there's no category beyond 5. And if you wanted to equate that, you could have said a 6, 7, or even 8, because wind speed that went up into beyond 200 miles per hour, and that's recorded.
Even in my opinion, my personal opinion, I think they have to revisit the categorization
of the hurricanes. Yes,
because climate change is here and it is changing every climatic condition and pattern. So we have to revisit.
Yeah. And so some of the takeaways, which we don't have enough time to go into actually, but I looked at the community readiness, and sometimes in our state, we tend to not pay the sufficient attention to those community resilience initiatives. In other words, empowering communities to be able to respond themselves, because we had what you call maroon communities in Jamaica, and the maroon communities are those places that were cut off where resources could not have gotten to, and so they had to fend for themselves for a long period of time. And there were airdrops that were made by helicopters and so on. And then with those airdrops, there was chaos because there were no organized systems of distribution. And then the people who were stronger, who had the means of getting out, they were getting double and triple stuff.
Yeah, who had more oil fried, more bakes.
That's correct. I didn't look at it that way.
Yeah.
So it said to me, you know what, we need to look at that in some areas here, how we create our resilience, our capacities at community. That's one of the takeout. And in terms of our aspect of staying connected, communication, those were some critical issues that led to serious breakdown, because again, when we had a burial in 2024, we saw a total loss of communication. We could not speak as close as Carriacou and Petit Matnik to Grenada. We couldn't communicate with each other. We saw that happening in a very strong way in Jamaica. Jamaica is a bigger country, has lots more resource than Grenada, but there are a lot of things communication-wise that were not in place that could not have happened. And so the ongoing aspect of even the coordination mechanism, I think I represented CARICOM, and I was the most experienced person there, and I recognized then that technically 98% of the people who responded were people who came into the system within the last 20 or so years, and I've been there in the system for almost 4 decades dealing with those kind of issues. And so the experience that I brought into play and some of the things that they were trying to just figure out, my experience played out tremendously in helping to direct and give some focus in terms of the way forward. Because when you experience it and so forth, the science sometimes don't speak to certain things immediately, but your experience will tell you this is where it's going to lead.
Yeah,
people's reaction to situation.
To tweak in advance. Because that is going to happen.
You know where it's going to lead.
Yeah.
It seems very obvious when you are in it in a particular way, and it's always like 1, 2, 3. When you have a serious impact of a tropical cyclone or disaster, people get nervous, they get anxious, they get antsy because they don't understand where the future holds, and what you see immediately, you cannot predict exactly where it's going to go. I remember in 2004 when we got up and we looked outside from Mount Welldale, I said, wow. And I told the folks, I said, we'll have 3 Grenada. I said, the one you see now, the one we had before, that's gone. The one we see now is one. And then the one we're going to have after this is going to be another one. Mm-hmm. And so you understand the needs of people immediately. Immediately people are going to want to get something to eat because they want to stay alive. When you start feeding them, what's going to happen? They're looking for somewhere to live. So the housing issue immediately. So the experience said to me that I had, that once you give people something to eat and a reassurance, once they see something to eat now, they go try to figure out, where should I stay? So immediately you start, while people are eating, or they're looking for food, you start preparing for housing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when they get that, and they get a little somewhere now to knock up and put, then they look at, how am I going to sustain myself beyond this? So you're looking at buffers for lives and livelihood issues. Mm-hmm. You look at the job opportunities, how they're going to get, and you start planning the third stage, the next phase as to where that is going to go. But the average person doesn't have that kind of experience. All they're looking at, let's give them food, let's give them things to eat. And then you inundate them with a lot of food, sometimes the things that they really don't need at the particular time.
Create more problems.
And it create more problems. So that experience in Jamaica, there's a lot. And so, as I have been encouraged by a lot of people, including my daughter, Daddy, you need to do an aid memoir because your memory is going to start fading. I need to write my books, right?
Yes, that, yeah.
Yeah, I have some manuscripts.
Okay.
And so in terms of me not being able to be present a lot of time to give of my own experience and my knowledge, I think I need to document this stuff and give it that people should read, right?
You need to. All right, tell you what, folks, it's 19 minutes after 9 o'clock already. We take our first commercial break. When we come back, we get into the meat of the matter for today, which is our preparation for drought season and possible cyclonic actions and so forth. We'll be back after these messages. Don't you go anywhere.
Camahorn Boat, a powerful multimedia production, presented at Carafesta 15, written and directed by Chris DeRiggs. One big performance, only at the Grenada Trade Center on Saturday, 7th March at 7 p.m. The Camahorn Boat is the ship of state, Grenada, sailing to its destiny. The Camahorn Boat is a call for unity, an exciting story about patriotism, played out by Grenada's best acting talents, featuring Samuel Ogilvie, Robert White, Debbie Gilchrist, Bianchi Toussaint, Dillian Walters, and others. Come out and join us in celebrating our Grenadianness on Saturday, 7th March, 7 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center. Admission almost free. Advance tickets are $50, $65 at the door. Your ticket outlets: Giddens Pharmacy Grand Anse, Art and Soul Bookstore, Spiceline Mall, Mitchell's Pharmacy Grand Anse, 3B's Shoe Store, downtown St. George, and other places. Bring out the entire family and enjoy a wonderful evening of Grenadian theater on 7th March at Grenada Trade Center, 7 p.m.
My name is Dr. Abigail Noel, and I am the head of department at the Accident and Emergency Department. One thing I love about Mount Sinai is their spirit of collaboration. They came in with ideas that have transformed our department in real time. The implementation of ID bands for every patient that comes through the emergency department. That has decreased patient errors. They have implemented defibrillators on every ward. Thus far, 128 staff members have been trained in defibrillator use. The huddle system is basically small meeting with all team members. It improves communication between staff members as well as with patients. This transformation means everything to the emergency department and by extension the health system of Grenada.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. This is To The Point with my co-hosts, Mr. Sylvan McIntyre and Mr. Richard McPhail. I want us to sort of delve into the meteorological projections for this year. They're projecting drought.
Yeah.
And already we are feeling it. Yeah.
So last week, and as I said, every time we do our programs, we look for some sense of intuition maybe that we have, or inspiration or insight in terms of what. So last week we generated a program. We said we want to be ahead of the game, speak on disaster risk reduction, identifying hazards analysis, and putting preparedness measures in place. And we just stopped short of saying one of the things that we figured we're going to have in 2026 is the aspect of drought. And I think the day after our program, the Met Service were on, indicating that by mid-May thereabout, we are expected to have some drought implications coming across the country. And obviously people don't understand that drought simply means that you're going to have less access to readily and normally available sources of water that will have some kind of a maybe light, heavy, or otherwise consequences on everything that you do. So a drought in short term means a shortage of the amount of water that you normally have. And so the prediction is for this year to be experienced aspects of it. So despite the humidity within the atmosphere seems to be almost there at this point, we're having a little bit of rainfall that goes on now and then into the interior. But if you really look at it and how it is being measured across, you can sense and feel within the atmosphere that aspect is simply coming through, and is coming slowly. But the point is that we do not want ourselves to be caught off guard. And so because we have that sense of analyzing situation before they actually happen, we want to be advising the nation that there are some things that the Met Services would not necessarily expand on. But from a technical point of view where disaster risk reduction is concerned, that we need to be on the ball a bit more and advise people of some of the practices they need to be engaged in. So it's just at a point where we're still having a bit of rainfall, we're tapping our normal resources of water, but from the agencies and entities who are involved in water catchment and harvesting, etc., and distribution of it and so forth, is the time that we should now prepare ourselves. And as we speak of tropical cyclones, the season that is going to happen from June on, remember we have May and then June. So we are saying that there's a prediction of a drought, but we're saying that we're going to be stepping into the hurricane season just right in a couple of days after.
And this in itself makes it absolutely necessary that people get to understand, do as much research as you can personally.
Yes.
That you can, get yourself abreast, because the climatic conditions, they're just haphazard now.
Right.
We're from a drought, but we're also heading into the hurricane season.
Absolutely. And so this is what is referred to in the terms climate variability. And so while you still have climate change, but you have the variability in climate, meaning that you do have those kind of drastic changes that not change, but it varies in terms of you can't tell exactly what and when and the amount that is going to happen. So while a change is more prominent and more obvious, the variability would be sporadic and not as consistent as the change in itself.
Mm-hmm. But it also requires even more preparation, because if we are coming from a drought and we are heading into the hurricane season where there's supposed to be the prospects of heavy rains, the drought would have the soil in such a state that when the heavy rain comes, landslides and so forth would be
and
like
it would
crazy.
saturate very quickly.
Yeah,
absolutely. So what this is saying is that our preparedness measures, even if we're saying that we are looking at comprehensive disaster management, but the information processes that speaks to all of the sector we need to up the game on that. For instance, drought will affect food security. It's a given. Mm-hmm. But if you get into the hurricane season on the other end of the spectrum, it's also going to affect food security. So what is the message right now that we're still having a bit of rain and our water levels are almost up where it should be?
Plant.
And then what should you plant?
Yeah.
And the other aspect of it is that one has to be environmentally conscious, and you have to be observant and follow what's happening within your own environment. So yesterday I was looking at a couple of the rivers. And if you look at them and so forth, some of the rivers, you have not tapped them upstream, because one of the rivers that I normally would use quite a bit, I looked at it, and there's not a lot of agricultural practices where what you call when you water your plants, how you call it? Irrigation. Oh, I lost that. So there's not a natural irrigation taking place, right? So people depend on the rainfall a lot upstream on that end. There's not a lot of construction activities taking place. So I looked at the river, but the river over just last year has depleted considerable amount. The basins that we once knew, they're no longer there, and the flow of the water has dropped considerably. So what's responsible for that? So you look at the heat index that we've been experiencing, the Met Service has been speaking about last year. We've been having a lot of heat warnings that went through. What that is saying, if you have the heat that is above the normal level, it means that you will have more evaporation. Yep. So the atmosphere is going to be drier. Humidity will be decreased to a large extent, and so the water that you normally would be exposed to, it will no longer be there for you to have access. So what should you do? So we're speaking agriculturally, how it will affect farming. What should the messages that we should be giving to our farmers, informing them as to what we should be planting now? That if you plant a particular type of crop at this point, if we are looking at drought in May, how will it affect your production or your output level getting to that point?
Yeah, and what maturity, with the maturity expected date and so forth, but then again, you also, this is touching on a plethora of different topics. Because, for example, farmers are supposed to be educated enough or knowledgeable enough in the craft and the trade to know what crops require less water.
That is supposed. But if you've lived in Grenada for the last 4 decades, you realized it's changing slightly. Yeah. But the people who are currently involved in agriculture, where did they come from? Excuse me. They came from a family line who just dealt with agriculture. Yeah. And so
you just plant and reap.
Reap. Yeah. And you have what is you call a slash and burn and so forth. People just prepare some lands and plant some stuff. And then agriculture for many, many years have been looked down upon as for the people who did not go to school and did not get certain degrees.
So there's a scientific approach to it, right? But we keep talking about crops, but not only crops.
Yeah.
The animals as well, livestock, poultry, the sheep and goats and so small animals.
And access to, so that is a very critical issue. So the strong take-home point, to the point I want to strike is that the whole aspect of preparing our sectors for a lower than normal levels of water access, we should plan for that. And the aspect of how do you capitalize on rainwater harvesting? How do we use those blue and other barrels that we get from the diaspora and so on? Could we convert them into holding tanks and so on for when we don't have access to those water? Could we have more of those smaller buckets, clean covered containers that people call them, that you need to have during hurricane season? Could we make those more readily accessible to people? And could we ensure or encourage people that you would keep a couple within your homes so that you can have some of these water? And could you say to people, I want you to keep a couple of those so that for your livestock, you'll be able to have those for them? Would you also say to your farmers, you need to look at areas where you can tap into for your irrigation processes? You look into preparing your pumps and the spare parts and other things that will normally go very easy during the heavy pumping periods. Stock up on those so your agricultural output could be maintained, or at least do not get down to a crisis level. And so we could decrease our importation, because again, you mentioned this touching on a lot of things. There's such a huge challenge for access to things on the global market now. It's frightening.
And it's not just climate change. It's political climate change too.
A lot. So the geopolitical aspects that we are experiencing now. You hear about people who are applying even our waters are talking about the fear factor that they have.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
The fisher people, you're hearing them talking about the fear factor, even if they understand that what they are doing is they're applying a legal trade in terms of fishing, etc. But when they speak of drones coming closer to them, hovering over their heads and searching, which has its positive in terms of keeping a lot of the illegal things away. But the fear factor that and the mere fact that you have not been exposed to all of this, it creates a different environment. It brings you in a more sheltered mode, and sometimes that decreases your ability, your anxiety, and your quest to wanting to produce more.
So I'm not used to that, so I ain't going there.
So that whole aspect of drought that we're speaking about has far-reaching effects, because if you're going to decrease, or you might have less in terms of agricultural output, your meats and other things will decrease, and you have fish coming in as well. You can fish, you decrease the amount of fish, or your market is not as stable. But so what are we going to do with the fish then? Dry them.
Yeah.
So immediately you create an alternative.
So that
we would not have to import bacalao.
Right, the codfish and everything else.
Right.
Which is kind of a cool. So there are a couple of things that we have to look at. The challenge that it produces, and also the opportunity for us to be innovative and for us to reap something out of the challenge that we tend to be experiencing. So we are able to channel people's mind into thinking, well, if we have a glut with the fresh fish,
what do we do with it?
Why don't we create more dry fish?
Right.
And if we store the dry fish, what does that do for us? We have, within the drought period, you will have, obviously, the heat index will be increased. So the drying process for your fish, etc., is easier.
Yeah.
But then the access to the salt, how do we get it? Should we now try to find ways of...
But we have a salt pond on Point anyway.
And you pointed in this direction?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. No,
Yeah.
Well, this way?
Yeah.
And the salt pond is full of salt.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
What are we doing about that? So, the conversation, in my opinion, is rich. In addition to that, sources of accessing water. In Carriacou and Petit Martinique, we applaud the initiative of desalination plants. So Carriacou has long existed on cisterns on the rain harvesting through those cisterns, and they had the manual pumping process, and then they move on where they had the electrical pumping process where you can get the cistern water. And we've gone into the point, let's come in Nawas and the other initiative for generating desalinating water. But do we have desalinating plants on island? We do have
on mainland.
Mainland.
Yeah.
I know there was one in Woburn at one time. But some of the hotels in the south, I think Sandals, they have their own, right?
There are private entities that do have a few small desal plants.
Yeah. But what about what we call the borehole water?
Borehole water. So are we looking at those options? And when you have crisis, there is an access, a tool that is being used that generates a process of getting water that is called reverse osmosis. So the reverse osmosis process actually traps the moisture from the humidity that exists within the atmosphere, and it converts it into water and condenses into containers that you can use. And there are instruments that we have for that. They are accessible, they are available. The point is, I'm saying we need to look at our options. So even business places and otherwise, if your desal plants are broken, I'm saying there are also reverse osmosis plants that you can also have. There are small ones, there are larger ones. You turn them on, put them on, they trap the humidity and so forth, the moisture within the atmosphere. And as I said, it converts that into water and it is potable water, it's good water that you can actually use. So I'm raising really the conversation, tickling the thoughts that while all seems to be just normal now, we have to look beyond our normal comfort zone and look for when it goes into crisis mode or near crisis mode, how we can keep our people sustained and healthy over extended periods of time.
The question I want to pop here is, where do we draw the line? How do we get the populace in that mode of thinking? You know, people have to, individuals have to want to know more and start getting prepared. Yeah, the desalination plant and the reverse osmosis plants, that's all good. But that's in the implementation phase. But what's about us as individuals? What do we do to mitigate against the drought? Farmers plant a little more trees, of course, and be mindful how you cut down, what you cut down, where you cut them down, and so forth, and implement the measures that would reduce wastage of water.
Yes, you're right. And I like the angle of that aspect of the conversation. We have to do some things that would generate the atmospheric condition for more condensations to occur. So we've had Beryl in 2024 that devastated the land space in terms of the topography, the trees and so on in Carriacou. Up north. So that will affect the amount of rainfall you will have. I remember one time, before your time, there was a project called Carry a Tree to Carriacou.
If it's before my time,
during Eric Gray,
if it's before my time, right? It's not so much in your time because you're not ahead of me by much, by so don't come and
so
all of us gray, you know.
But some of us have more gray and some of us lost our gray until our head becomes shiny.
Born here, but you ain't grow here.
Yes. So the point is, we need to look at what do you call reforestation of our land space. I know there was some initiative for Carriacou and PT Matnik. I don't know how strong that is, but it's something that we need to look at. I know Haiti, for instance, the agriculture and the land practices has been so terrible that they cut most of the trees down to burn coals, and obviously the economic condition may have forced them into doing that.
Survival.
And so they have the kind of rainfall they have is different, and when they do have the rainfall, it leads to a lot of landslides and mud sludges and so forth goes down and flooding in some area, and then you have other consequences. But what we're seeing here, I don't know if we assess where we were in 2004 and 20 years later, how we reforested our rainforests and even our normal land space, what kind of trees that we planted. And I think we need to go back to that fundamental approach of the trees that attract the rainfall in those areas, and it also prevents evaporation of the land. The land is the ground space itself, because it covers and keeps the environment and the ground space a bit more quiet.
A very typical example of a place like that is Apretut.
Yeah.
Prior to Hurricane Ivan, Apretut was a sheltered area with the nutmegs and everything like that. Ivan plus and
everything was,
down, and now Apretut is really getting exposed to the environmental conditions.
Yes. And for the people who lived there for most of all of their life, it would be good to engage them in a conversation to ascertain from them what has changed in terms of the water. The people may tell you where we had a spring before, it's no longer there, it is coming out somewhere else. They may tell you we feel a lot more hot where we are, and they may tell you what we used to produce before, the kind of things that we were getting, we're not getting them anymore. So the whole aspect of our environmental studies and so on, we do sometimes our EIAs only when we want to build something, but our EIAs and so on, our environmental impact assessments must take place consistently. Our soil testing, our soil types in terms of advising our agriculturalists, our planters, what they should plant, that is also critical. It will help us in managing a drought situation better. And the aspect of planning long ahead and generating and holding the conversations long ahead would prepare people's mind for the walk into situation. And I'm happy that the CIMH, the carbon meteorological systems and so forth, the system for meteorology and hydrology, they have gotten and helped and coordinated with our Met services in terms of bringing out the climate outlook and saying to us when we are likely to have the less amount of rainfall that will create a drought condition. What is left up to us is to be able to expand on it and to inform, as you mentioned, the regular individual as to something that you're going to deal with. When things are sprung on you, you don't make the best decision. If you have information sufficient, not too much, beforehand, you can start preparing for it. I know some of the things I'm saying today that some people will be taking a little bit from it, and they'll be saying, you know what? I need to start having some containers around or something that
this is where the Ministry of Agriculture comes in, the extension officers,
right, in
terms of the soil types and advising farmers as to the way forward.
Right.
Okay. You know, I personally, I would tell you, I'm in the process now of setting up for rainwater harvesting, 3,000 gallon tanks, the black tanks.
Okay.
Right, to collect rainwater, to use on the farm.
And have you assessed how long that is going to last you with what you do as a person who's involved in poultry or otherwise?
No, I have a separate tank for the poultry.
Right, but the point
that would not be used for poultry. Period. That's for purely for crops.
I'm going a little bit more scientific beyond that, in that if you understand that a drought period is likely to last for X, you understand the dry season starts from January to June, basically.
So your decision is calculative.
That's correct. Right. So in other words, you just figure out what amount of water do I really need to keep that would hold me into getting into when the rainfall should start a bit more consistently, so that we'll have a production level that is maintained throughout, so that you can now increase the capacity. Your financial ability afford you to get $3,000 gallon tanks. No. Another person may not be able to do that. They say, you know what, I can only manage one now. But you realize that 3 is not sufficient for you. But that's what you could manage right now. But you realize that is not taking me right into. So by next year, you increase that. So those kind of systematic planning processes need to take place to kind of guarantee us a greater food security system. Mm-hmm. But additionally, the people among us who are less abled or differently abled, what systems are we putting in place so that they too can have access to that kind of a water? Some of them may have hearing impairment, some may have vision, some may have mobility and so on. But how do we create, or what is the inventory of the differently abled people, and how do we ensure that they have sustained resources during the times of lower access to those things, including water? And that's another conversation that we definitely need to have.
Yes.
Okay, gentlemen, we're due for another break, and we're almost getting ready for the wrap, eh?
Yeah, but we had to speak about the traffic issue and road safety.
We'll be back after this.
Hey everyone, here is an invitation to join me this and every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on GBN Television 711 K105 FM, our Facebook page and YouTube channel for Kaiso Talk. Meet the Kaisonians, hear their stories, feel the vibes. Kaiso Talk, Wednesdays 8:30 p.m. Compliments for Grenville Credit Union.
Looking to take your business to new heights? Advertise with GBN on our social media platforms and get noticed by our 138,000 plus followers. Reach a massive engaged audience ready to connect with your brand. No matter your business size, GBN is here to help you grow. Contact us today at admin@gbn.gd or WhatsApp 407-8458 to get started.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. The final 8 minutes of the program. It's amazing how time flies, yeah? When we're talking substantive issues.
Yes.
With this drought prospect and the environment, we need a whole program to just deal with that.
Yes.
Yeah, because this is a program that is deep, and I think it's needed to sensitize not just the lawmakers and the administrators, but we as a people, we have to get into that system of wanting to know, so that we can individually better prepare ourselves, and then inadvertently the country get protected. One person at a time. But so that's a different program all by itself. Road safety, we've got a date. It's not a pleasant tablet in your mouth, I know, but you are one of the persons that when life serves you lemons, you make lemonade with it. So this is it, March 6th, is the date?
Yes. And before we conclude, we'll hope to allow 2 callers if we wish. On the program, we haven't allowed any as yet. But in terms of we said this is a twin program, and an aspect is road safety. But March 6th is the unfortunate day when my son tragically lost his life by a motor vehicle. And so we've transformed and channeled our mindset into getting some positive out of it. And so we have the AMSAFE, for the Asha McIntyre Safety Foundation for Roads. It's in its almost 3rd year on stream. And on March 6th and going forward, every first Monday in March would be recognized as road safety awareness by our foundation.
We have a caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Morning, in a sense, morning to Mr. McIntyre and morning, Mr. McPhail. I think I get it right this time. Mr. McIntyre, ever since you started coming on this program, I raised the issue of the Sendai Agreement. More and more the 10 sessions go live. The Sendai Agreement is one of the things that is factored, that is integrated in anything to do with risk reduction and also climate change response. And for me, we are not dealing with the Sendai agreement at all. If we do that, that would help to galvanize everyone involved, whether it's at the community level, the business level, the government, and so on. I think we really need to really deal with that. We're not doing that. And secondly, in terms of talk about food security and so on, we need to expand that to not just talk about food security, but nutrition security and also food sovereignty. If we are not able to manage or decide what food we eat and how the food is produced, then we could be inadvertently contributing to our speedy demise or death, as we are doing even in normal times. So I would like you to respond to those two basic issues. The other stuff, and finally, we must emphasize the involvement of community, as you know. And we really don't think we really do anything in relation. We talk about it, but we really need to create the environment and create a culture where people would see their role is to ensure that we have some kind of solidity or solidarity when it comes to dealing with the unforeseen or going forward. Thanks.
Thank you, caller.
So in direct response to the caller, and thank you very much, I would answer in a very short way. Recently, we've heard the announcement of the intent to statutarize the National Disaster Management Agency. So there's a statutory body that will be formed, and there's a board of directors that have been already identified. And so angles where we think the agency need to be more focused, including the Sendai Framework Initiative, those are some of the things that we would wish to advocate for through that platform and so forth. So we hope to see some changes that could address a lot more of the issues we think that is sometimes minimized and limited only to a ministerial responsibility, but now we'll have a board that would make recommendation to an advisory council and eventually to cabinet that would drive some of these initiatives.
Okay. We do have another caller on the line. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Mr. Innocent.
Welcome to the program.
You seem to be innocent, but forgive me for saying that. You should know that maybe people like me a little bit backward. It takes me a long time to remember or possible to learn so many things in so short a time about soil, weather, this and that. So I would recommend that whenever people like me talking, so I want to re-educate myself, we should have a program of the speech should be reasonable short so that everybody would learn something. As far as my head tumbling now with all different activities that you stated. Thank you. I hope you learn. Learning is the ability to respond adequately to a situation.
Thank you, caller. So it's something we thought about in the past. We're going to have at least one of the programs where we'll have more interaction, where we would allow more calls and more interaction with the guest and the host, as a matter of fact. So we'll allow people to call in and ask more questions and we could respond to it.
In addition to that, I think what he's trying to say is that he got saturated.
He tend to say there's a lot of information across, and maybe they didn't have enough time to digest it, to digest and to ask more questions. All right, so we appreciate that.
All right, bro. so before the next call comes in,
so we want to make this would be an annual event. The foundation would advocate and would lead the process of road safety awareness at least once every year, and that will be recognized on the first Monday in March. And this year we are hoping to create a buzz on March 6th. We're hoping that the GBN would allow on that Friday maybe an additional program for us to be on and feature that. Throughout the social media and otherwise, we are going to be having jingles and safety tips and information going across so people could understand and focus more. We would start the initiative of identifying safe drivers.
Okay.
So in other words, we want business places, companies and so forth. We will provide the information and platform through which you can submit the name of an individual or names of individuals who have been driving for the last 10, 20 years without accidents and so forth. They've been obeying safety initiative. We are also pushing to have some stickers that we can give to, in particular, people beat up our busmen quite a bit, and they do provide a valuable service. And busmen and conductors, we appreciate your service. But those who go beyond the call, as the commute leaders and some regular drivers, we want to be able to honor them in such ways, like providing some stickers that they can use and say, safe driver.
Okay.
So people coming on a bus could see that person carry the sticker, safe driver.
So they feel a little more comfortable.
So they feel a bit more comfortable in that sense. And so we're hoping that initiative will drive people into wanting to be safer. And on March 6th, we would invite the whole of Grenada on that day with the support of the RGPF. We are expecting to have remarks or some words of road safety from some key community and state leaders to recognize road safety. We know there's a global road safety day, but we think it is critically important that Grenada has its own. Okay. And March 6th, or the first Monday in March every year, we would recognize and capitalize on the opportunity and produce more information that people become more road safety conscious. And that is one of the things that we would want to be able to do. Create this kind of a buzz through our schools and so forth. Get children to start repeating road safety issues. And on that day, we're hoping that Sergeant Troy Paul, he will help us. I reached out to them on that. The police will support us on that. That on the 6th of March this year, and on the first Monday of March every year, we would strive to have a no accident day.
Okay.
So we want to push it to say on that day, when the traffic report comes out, the day after, we would be keeping our hands on our chest to say, for the first time, on this time, we had 0 accident recorded over that period. All because we're going to be pushing road safety. We'll be saying to people, be conscious on the road, look out for the other person, anticipate the action of others, be courteous, prepare yourself, leave ahead of time, check your vehicles, etc. Do not take risks or chances unnecessarily, and so forth. And just create information and the buzz of be a safe driver. Today, the as you go through, the students that they go on the bus, are you a safe driver? Our passenger going, are you going to drive us safe today? This kind of a thing on that day. So everybody become conscious on that date that we're striving towards greater road safety. When we would move to the point where we're going to see more road signs, more instruments, more cameras, and more things, and more compliance in terms of road safety across Grenada. Carriacou and PT Martinique, because PT Martinique, can understand, have real traffic now too.
Yeah. Mr. McPhail, any parting words?
No, except to echo the sentiments expressed and throughout the state of Grenada.
Yes.
Yeah.
Throughout the state of Grenada.
Which include Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
Throughout the state of Grenada.
Yes, which is Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
So Calamity Island, Hog Island.
Oh Lord, that's and Isla Roon.
Yeah, Sandy Island too. Yeah. All right. Gentlemen, once again, thank you very much for a very informative and educational program. And I do like the intent that the caller tried to push to us. Maybe we need to dissect and say, okay, these are some topics, like in teaching, you have a weekly plan and a monthly forecast, and then you come with your lesson plan and say, this is what we're teaching now.
Well, that's what we did this morning. We taught, we spoke about drought.
Nonetheless, as always informative and educational, yes. And that's the intent of it, to sensitize the populace, and we look forward to another engagement.
Bless.
Have a good one, gentlemen, youngsters.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thanks to everyone as well.
Yes. Folks, that's it for To The Point this morning. Thank you for sharing your time with us, and if the good Lord spare our lives, we'll have another one like this next Monday. Have a good day now, everybody.